All right, so Rory, welcome. You are going to talk to us about GitHub CodeSpaces, and oh my God, I love CodeSpaces so much. It's amazing. Like, this moment where you go in GitHub and you replace the .com with the .dev, or you just press a period, right, on your keyboard to change to CodeSpace. Or just this moment where you say, hey, I want to check something in a repo, and basically you have the possibility to do it directly in your web browser. So Rory, I don't think it's really necessary to introduce you because everybody knows you, but still you're in the developer relations team. You're a colleague of mine, senior cloud advocate, and you are talking about multiple topics, notably around Java, but it's great to have you now in the .NET Conf as well. And you speak all around the world, empowering developers to achieve more. So Rory, if you want to take it up, I'm going to bring your slide deck on the screen, and it's up to you to talk to us about CodeSpace.
Great, thank you so much, Laurent. I'm going to be pretty short and quick like me. So I'm a Caucasian male wearing glasses. I've got a Linux shirt, and I'm speaking to you from Johannesburg, South Africa. And I love CodeSpaces because I've got a Macintosh, and as part of joining Microsoft, I thought I've got a Windows PC. I'm going to get a Mac. I'm going to run all of the wonderful Windows tooling that I'm so used to on a Mac, and it works brilliantly. But at the same time, I don't really understand how to install everything there. So CodeSpaces to me is a great developer environment, and I've been using it daily to actually go in and not have to worry about how does you do this on Windows and how do you do this on Mac. So I've got a nice little session. We've got a nice little coding demo that we're going to do. And then you can follow the demo there if you want. So first, where did it all come from? And I went back in the bowels of history, and I found out that in 2011, the first thing that really resembled CodeSpaces was something called Monaco. And it actually exists right now. If you go into the Azure code shell and you go code dot or code whatever your file, that's Monaco. And it's a high-performance web-based editor. And it was really, if you can see there, TypeScript.lang. It was a web-based editor, and it allowed you to do basic editor and code IntelliSense for a few languages, and that was in 2011. Then they bought Visual Studio Online, so Monaco V1, and this allowed you a little bit more, and it started actually allowing you to install extensions, and the extensions could do a little bit more and were code more focused, so Java.NET, Python, JavaScript. And the final rendition is when you take the best part of an editor and the best part of an IDE. So what is an editor? An editor it's keyboard-centric, lightweight, and fast. It understands files and folders, and you can use different spoken languages and actually programming languages if you think about it. So an IDE, you've got project systems, so it's more aware of projects, not folders, integrated build, code understanding, debugging, source control integration, templates, wizards, and designers. So where does CodeSpaces and Visual Studio Code sit? And that's right there. So it has the best of editors and also the best of IDE. And Visual Studio is CodeSpaces. So when you start up CodeSpaces, it is a Visual Studio rendition of that. You can run it locally, you can run it in the browser, you can run it on your phone, and you can go, like Laurent said, visualstudio.dev or github.dev, and they're all of the same kind of tooling there. That is a kind of a new class of tools that sits in there, and it's lightweight, and it also understands code. So in 2015, the first real version there, Visual Studio Code. And then we started looking at remote development extensions. So hear this out. This is very nifty. So we had the IDE in the browser, but we realized that it can run in the browser, but we also want to run it locally. So can you run it locally? Can you connect to the browser version that you're running there and debug and all of that? So we created something called remote developer extensions. You get remote Windows subsystem for Linux, containers, SSH, and CodeSpaces. So CodeSpaces is part of this family, remote development extensions. And you get the Octocat there. And it allows you to take all of the normal extensions you have and run them to allow you the full Visual Studio Code experience. So you can have managed environments for any project. So you can just spin up or spin down any environment. You can have feel at home even when not at home. So I've got a great talk that I do where I show how you can code in the bath, and I've got my phone there, and you can start up your Visual Studio CodeSpaces as long as you don't drop your phone in the bath, but you can do it anywhere. I do it in my garage, I do it while shopping, and you can run an environment wherever you are because it syncs to your phone. Now your phone has dark mode on your phone as soon as you get that Visual Studio Code environment started. Develop from anywhere, and collaborative development. It is on GitHub. So you get all of the features of GitHub with CodeSpaces. So what, and I get the next question is, how much does it cost? Rory, don't sell me anything like that. Well, you do need a subscription, a team subscription or a enterprise subscription, and then you can get all of those servers though. So if you have a GitHub team subscription or an enterprise subscription, teams, I think you have to have up to 4 users there, then you can actually use the 2-core, 4-core, 8-core, 16 or 32, and there's, I think, 64 gigs of RAM, and the maximum, that's 32 CPUs that you get there. And those are the pricing around it. That is central US pricing there. And then you have to pay for the storage around that also though. So this is what it looks like there. And you can see there's the 32-core, 64 gig. I feel like a rock star when I run that. How do you get started with it? So the easiest is to actually go in and template out a project. So I am a Java advocate for Microsoft. I'm at a .NET conference. I'm not going to be too Java specific, but you can go in the VS Code remote try, and there's a lot of other remote try libraries here. So you can go into there and you can see under the Microsoft GitHub organization, there's remote try Node, try Python, try Java, try Go, .NET Core, Rust. And all of these have, if we go into the .NET Core one, they've got like just 2 files that are of interest for us. They've got a dev container folder, and inside the dev container folder, there's a Docker file and a dev container.json. So the Docker file just runs up your VM that you're going to run everything on, and your dev container just sets up your Visual Studio Code instance. So you can use the quick starts, or you can use templates. So if you go into an existing project, you can go and you need to install CodeSpaces. So it's an extension. Remember the remote extension, you can go CodeSpaces, add development container files, and it will add one of the dev container or Docker files there. You can choose all of them. There's hundreds there. You can also use the advanced templates, and these are specific, really nice templates for specific purposes. So Azure or other clouds, or Docker Compose. There's some really nice templates there. Or you can roll your own. You can start straight off from your repository there. You have that drop-down code there, and you can just say new CodeSpaces. So those are all the ways that you can do it. And so then once you do that, you can have multiple CodeSpaces environments. And you think about it, you can have multiple organizations. So if I have a team and also my private GitHub repositories, then I actually have 2 little environments that I can run with it, and you can have multiple editors. So that's Visual Studio or the browsers, and you can also use Visual Studio, the big boss, the big brother of Visual Studio Code, to run CodeSpaces. So what is the Docker compute there? It's cloud hosted. You've got virtual machine isolation, so it is secure. Nothing in, nothing out unless you use relay ports. You've got environment customization, so you can customize your Docker file, and then you can even use Docker Compose. Your network there, there's no public IP address. Everything is relayed, so I'll show you exactly how that works, but it's port forwarding, and then you can connect your clients via that relay. Storage, so you actually store it on the Docker container, so your single source of truth is using Git. It pulls those files and pops them into the Docker container. You get dedicated storage and encryption at rest. Your configuration, what is on Git, so you use Git ops, and then you've got your dev container.json that configures your Visual Studio Code instance. So let's look what a dev container looks like. So this is the Java version there, and you can see you've got your image, so the Docker file that you're going to use. Then the settings are what you want to install locally, or you want to run some settings for Visual Studio Code. The extensions you want to install, in this example, I'm going to install the Java extension. You might want to install the .NET Core extension, and then I'm going to install the Azure pack to deploy to Azure. I want to open up a port there on port 8080, and then my user, that's the Docker user I'm going to use to run locally as a kind of super user. On the Docker file itself, I've got the image, and I'm going to extend that variant. I'm going to use JDK 11, the Microsoft version of JDK, and then I'm going to install Java and install Gradle via apt-get and install commands. So once I have that, I'm going to open up the port, and you saw their port 8080, and then I can add, and I can make ports public, I can copy the local address, or I can open up in the browser, and I can do my debugging testing. What that looks like is from the Visual Studio Code extension, I can debug locally on my PC to that Visual Studio Code extension. So I can run a whole Docker Compose, or I can actually open up the Visual Studio Code CodeSpace extension, Visual Studio Code image there that I'm running remotely. So it gets a little bit tricky when you think about it, but I've got the cloud, which runs your Visual Studio Code remote extension. I've got the app that is being debugged, and then I've got possibly a database using database Docker Compose. Now in the code editor here, I can connect to that Visual Studio Code extension. I can debug the port, and then I can access that debug port via browser. So that's my device, and that's the cloud running the Visual Studio Code CodeSpace or remote extension. Once I have that, my inner loop for my code and debugging, so code, test, debug, I can then go check in my files to GitHub, and then I can use GitHub Actions for my build, deploy, and provision pipelines. And my provision pipeline may use Azure policies. It can provision my production or staging environment, and I might want to create a container via the build pipeline into a registry or a container image. And all of the time when I push it to Azure, I get built into monitoring and logging. So next thing, we've got 17 minutes, and I'm going to show you a demo. And I'm going to live code everything, and you can follow with me if you want as we progress. So I'm never going to leave the browser. I want you to notice what I'm doing right now. I'm never going to leave the browser as I do all of my development. Now, you can actually do all of this also and connect to Visual Studio Code, but on your local instance, but I don't have enough time to do that. So I'm going to go into the try Java version. I am a Java advocate. And then I'm going to go use this template. So this is a template for the VS Code remote try templates. I'm going to go use this template, and I'm going to call this Laurent High. I'm going to call this the Laurent High repo. Actually, I'm going to go Hi Laurent. I think I spelled that name right. Yes, there we go. Hi Laurent. And I'll make it public, and then I'm going to create the repository. Now, it's not going to do anything into my Hi Laurent repository right now. It's just going in and templating it out there. I want to go customize it. I want to add the Azure pack. I want to open the port 8080 because I'm going to go creating a Spring application on it. So I'm going to go into the dev container here, and then I've got my Docker file. I'm not going to mess with the Docker file at all. It's exactly where I want it. And then I'm going to go into the dev container.json, and you can see there in the dev container.json, I've got the extension pack here, but I want to go in and I want to add in one other extension pack. So I'm going to live code editor here, so nothing wrong can happen ever if you're going to do that. So I'm just going to go edit it. I'm going to put a little comma there because it is YAML, and then now I've got the Azure pack, and you can put a lot of other extensions there. I once had a Visual Studio Code CodeSpace an installation. There are like 30 different extensions, and then I want to open the port here, or port 8080, and it does want that indentation because it is kind of YAML. No, it's JSON, sorry. So there. So now I'm going to commit that. Let's go in there. I'm going to commit. Now I can actually be sure that it's going to start up with everything that I want in the Hi Laurent repository. So I can go in there and I can open it up locally, but I'm going to open it up in CodeSpace. Now I'm still in the preview right now, but I've also got CodeSpaces linked to a team account that Microsoft gave me. But I'm going to just open up, and I'm going to just open up with the default 4 CPU and 8 gigs of RAM, and you'll see how fast it is. So I'm just going to new CodeSpaces here. It's going to go read the Docker file first, and then it's going to go configure the VS Code instance there, and it's going to tell me a little bit in the log file. And you can see there, open this CodeSpace in VS Code desktop. So CodeSpaces runs on Docker, and you can just run it locally, but you can also connect to your remote extension if you want to do and not run it locally. And then it gets a little bit hairy. Like I said, you're watching me get a little confused, like where am I right now? Like I can run Visual Studio Code locally, connect to a remote Docker instance, or vice versa in many different permutations that I can. So there it is, container built, and then it's connecting there to that log. And it's very quick there that you can see there. And I can sync my settings if I wanted to and get that nice little dark mode. Let's actually make this a little bit smaller here. Let's go there so you guys can see what's going on. And now I've got the hello Laurent container here. I've got a little source folder. It's a Maven build here, and I can just go mvn install. It's already installed Maven. I asked it to install Maven and Gradle. Now, what it is running any code, which is that very fast running little kind of language server. So I want to kick it out any code, and I want to run the full Java language server because any code won't let me do any debugging or running of the full language server. So I ran Maven there, and now I did find that to me to kick out any code even quicker, I'm just going to refresh the screen, and all that does, it really says, here's Maven, here's all the libraries, and it just kind of pops it into cache a little bit quicker though. You can see it's already there, and it just goes refresh. Now I'm going to run my little project here. I'm going to right click and just go run Java, and it's going to say, okay, cool. We want to kick out any code now. We run the full Java language server there. There we go. Do you need the full Java language server? Do you want to run it? I'm going to go yes. And now the big boy there, it's going to run off process on the Docker container, the language server, and it's going to go import all my Java projects. So I can go view my projects there. And it should actually say in my Java project there, hello remote world. So it's going to run there. It's got all the libraries from Maven, and it is going to go eventually there, hello remote world. You see how quick that was? Now it's even quicker if I just wanted to edit something with any code. So if you want to know what Visual Studio, the web-based editor, so if you go to vscode.dev and github.dev, those are running any code. So they just have a very lightweight version of language server. But I want to show you the real deal here, and I want to do some debugging. So I've got my little project here, but I don't want to use this project. I want to go in and I want to create a microservice. So I've got a little curl command here that's going to go in and curl from the spring.starter. It's just going to say, get me the Spring Web, the JPA, which is like Hibernate, and H2, which is an in-memory database, and use Java 1.8. So I'm just going to hit enter here, and it's dropped the files there, and I want to sync with Maven there, and I'm going to go delete the previous project files there because I don't need them anymore. That's just what they templated out there. So permanently delete. I love how they say delete permanently. And then in my test here, I'm going to go permanently delete. Delete permanently, yes we go. And then now I've got my basic of my project there, but it doesn't really do anything in my little example that I had there. It just basically starts up Spring. So if I go Maven install here, it's just going to download the Spring libraries, and look how fast that is, because it's hardwired on the fiber of the internet. I don't know, like they're really super fast. Starts up Spring, it runs, it doesn't really run any test cases. We're going to go build them now. It's running all of that, and you see how quick that was. It's really fast, and this is only 4 core and 8 gigs of RAM. Can you imagine when I ran this demo on 32 core CPU and 64 gigs of RAM? It is so fast. So now I've got my project here. So I'm going to go create a to-do microservice. So it just basically you can pop in a to-do there, and you can hit a REST service and get that to-do back there. So I'm going to go in to my demo application, and with the magic on copy and paste, I'm going to go in and paste in that project there. And you see there, I've got a to-do there, buy milk, eat pizza, write tutorial, learn Azure. But it is using a to-do object there, and it's not, it doesn't exist. So I can actually go quick fix. It's going to go create the class of to-do, and it's using a repository there to go in and persist that. So I can quick fix that also, and I can go create that repository class there. So I've got my to-do and my to-do repository. So I'm going to go in and look at the code for those. So in my to-do, I need some properties there. I need a description, and I need a done. So there is a details field also. And this is just an entity. So if you know Hibernate or in Hibernate, it's just an entity that we're going to persist into a database. So that's my to-do.java. My to-do repository also, it's pretty simple. This is a JPA repository, and I'm just going to go in and paste it. And this is just going to extend from a JPA repository, and it's going to give the to-dos. I do need something to hit a REST controller. So I need a to-do controller. So the only class that I didn't actually a test-driven development out though, I need to go create. So I need to go new file, and I'm going to go to do controller.java. And then my to-do controller.java here, I can just go paste that. And now I've got a nice little to-do controller. It's got create to-do and get to-dos. So I'm going to run mvn install, and you'll see there, it's actually going to start up my little application and demo application, and it's going to run and add those to-dos there. And well, it's not going to do much because I haven't asked it to stop at any given point. But you can see there it's adding my to-dos there. It's adding the milk to do. So let's go stop it for a second, and let's go into to-do controller, and then you've got the find all feature there, or the save, and I'm going to put a breakpoint there, and now I'm going to go into my Java projects, and I can go in and right click there, and I can go debug. And now, where is it going to debug? Okay, so it's going to go debug here. It's going to go launching main class, and it's going to go debug on the find all. But where is it going to debug? It's going to debug in CodeSpaces on the Docker instance. It's going to wait for me to actually hit that instance there, find all, and then I can actually go in and to the. Oh, no, you know what I did there? I didn't actually debug there. It actually debugged and stopped there. So let's go in there and access that and debug it once I've actually started there. This is what happens when you live demo and sometimes. So let's carry on with that. I want to actually debug it only when I actually got it started. So note to self, Rory, only debug it when you actually got it there and don't save too many of them. So let's go back in there, and we're going to go find all, and I only want to debug it when I actually get through to that. So let's go, and I'm thinking here, find all. Yeah, that's great. Okay, so now I'm going to go debug, and I'm going to right click on the project, and I'm going to go debug. I think I can actually do it from the Java project again. Let's do that one more time. And we want to go in there, and we want to go, and let's just make sure the ports are open. So if you remember there, we've got our ports here. So we want to view our ports, and you can go there, and we want to go view, and we want to find out the ports. I don't see my ports here, which is very interesting, but I'm sure that we can actually find it better. So I'm going to go in and right click on that, and I'm going to go app debug, and let's see if we can get it again. Else, I'm going to just push this to Azure, and we can see if we actually find that debug. So we get the to-dos there, and we shouldn't actually have an issue with actually going in and finding the port though. So let's go find out here and find out if we have that port. So we want to go into CodeSpaces, and we want to find that port. So let's go into here, and I can't actually see where the port is. Let me minimize it. I think I may be seeing the screen too big here. And the port screen is actually not viewing here. So let us go and hit a refresh button here. And one more time to refresh. Else I'm just going to push it to Azure, and I'm going to show you how to do that. So this did work in the demo before, but this is live coding with the high Laurent description there. So let's go here, Java projects, and we want to go into CodeSpaces here. So we want to go file, GitHub. There we go. And we want to go into GitHub and CodeSpaces. Okay, so something's gone wrong, guys, and I'm not going to harp too much on it, though. I'm just going to show you how to actually push that to CodeSpaces here. So in my CodeSpaces here, I've installed the Java extension, the Azure extension, and I've got an app service here that I've got running. And maybe if, when we do Q&A, I can get it. So I'm going to sign into Azure that we've got here. I'm going to sign into Azure. I'm going to pick my account. I've already got it linked to my username. It's already signed in there. And let's go back there. I do have another working edition, so I just want to show you quickly how to do that. And then I'll go into another working edition, spin it up. And this is what it really is. It's pet and cattle. So I've got my extension there. And now I can go into my app service. And I can actually go in and just push that directly to the web app. So I can go deploy to web app, and go add config. I've got an existing web app there that we have, and I'm just going to choose that web app, and it's going to go through and it's going to choose the jar file that I have. And at the same time that that's happening, so watch how quick this is though. I'm going to go to github.com. And I've already got the CodeSpace running there that I got previously. I'm going to go your CodeSpaces. And this is the one that I put before. So test RPZA here. And then I'm going to go code, open it in CodeSpaces. And this is really nifty. So in the demo here, I'm actually going to open up another CodeSpace. Let's just go back in there. So now I'm going to deploy the previous one into the .NET Conf app there. And it's going to say, yeah, you can just deploy it. And we'll come back to that there now. So in my CodeSpaces here, now this is a new CodeSpaces, and I've just started up another one here. I want to go in and debug my port though. So I can go source my to-do controller there. And I want to actually go in under the find all, and I can just go right click on my Java projects when it comes around and go debug. So this should actually be at the same. Let's try race them here. I'm on racing there. Yeah, we want to go yes. We want to deploy that. Let's see which one goes first. Deploy to Azure or my debug control. Okay, there we got a debug there. And now I can actually go into my Java project, right click and go debug. And we should actually get that. So let's see which one will come back first. So my to-do controller, that was quick. Deploy to .NET Conf completed. So now I can go browse it, and I just deployed the jar. I can go browse, and I should see my to-dos there that I did. There we go. And it's .NET Conf RPZA, and it's a live kind of site that you can access. Let's see if I can actually go into my to-do controller, and let's go not the original one. I want to go that one there. There we go. Your application is running in port 8080. Check how easy that is, that I had a problem with that, and I can just open up another CodeSpace. So I can open up in the browser there. And now I'm going to open up, and it's going to actually break on that debug point. So it's going to connect into the forwarded port. There, it broke there. Look at that. It actually broke on the to-dos there. And now I can actually go and inspect that. Did you see how quickly I actually spun up another instance? I had an issue with one instance, and I went in and I debugged that, and now I can actually go and check over on another one that I had there and run through it all, and I get that debug experience. And so that really, it worked out very well. And I pushed it to Azure at the same time, and that's the joy of CodeSpaces. If I have a problem with that, I can just shut down that other container, bring it up, and it's instead of having a pet like a laptop, I have cattle. That is great. So I've got a little bit of time for questions, Laurent, and I'm glad my demo kind of worked out in the end. So what kind of questions do you have for me?
Hey, Rory, we didn't actually have many questions about your presentation. I think it was everything clear, but we have Craig Nicholson who says, thanks to Rory Preddy for another great presentation and demo, Zero to Hero with GitHub CodeSpaces. I have to give it to you, coming to a .NET conference and showing a bunch of Java code, you have to be courageous to do that. But this is really awesome to see.
Well, they say that C# is the .NET Java, and we have our own OpenJDK, and I work closely with the .NET team. So yes, we're all good.
Absolutely. Oh no, absolutely. And for the anecdote, the way that I started programming in C# is because I was a Java developer in 2001. And somebody came to me and said, oh, there is this new C# thing. You should check it out. It's almost the same as Java anyway. So, that was 20 years ago. And obviously, things are different. However, great to show your presentation. And of course, everything that you showed works with .NET as well. So this is awesome. We don't have other questions, sorry. So I would say, why don't we actually bring Carrie to the stream, and I'm just going to put your screen on the stream as well so that people can see your Twitter, Rory, as well as your demo. Thank you so much for that. Hello, Carrie, how are you doing?
Hi, Laurent. I'm doing really good. How are you today?
I'm very good. Thank you. This is awesome to see you. So let's say goodbye to Rory. Thank you so much for your presentation. And you can find everything about that on this GitHub here, as well as talk to Rory on Twitter. Thank you so much, Rory.
Thanks, Laurent. Bye.